I'm going to share my screen with you, which shows the syllabus and the change that I referenced. So we're going to begin working on persuasive writing and persuasive communication, oral, so speech making today, but we're going to focus on it from another perspective. So in addition to business communication that is persuasive with the intent of earning money, right? So people are trying to sell a product, persuade you to buy. We're going to look at how public speakers use certain rhetorical strategies to persuade us as well. So this is going to be an interactive session. We're going to look at several videos and some of the strategies being used. And we're also going to talk about how speakers draw audiences in. So through ethos, appeals to ethos, logos, and pathos. If those words sound strange to you now, hopefully they don't at the end of this lesson. So we're going to kind of switch focus, and that change is reflected in your syllabus. Instead of having you prepare a persuasive letter, which is much like the assignment you've already done, I'm going to ask you to think about persuading someone to buy a product or to use a product and what you might do to achieve that end. We'll look at some examples of that tonight to prepare you for that assignment. Another difference is you will be working in groups of 2 to complete this persuasive writing assignment, all right? Now, let me make this a little bit bigger. Hopefully you get a better view. This is due on February, sorry, not March 1st, February 26th. So you will email this assignment to me by 11:59 p.m. Now you will note that this gives you more time than usual to work on the assignment. Today is the 15th, so that means you have more than a week, when generally I give you an assignment today and it's due on Sunday. The reason you have more than a week to work on this is you paired up, so that's going to take some coordination, and it's a more creative assignment. I want to give you some time to do it. You will get early feedback from me and your classmates next week when you share your ideas, the product that you're selling, that you're trying to market. You will share it with us and we will give feedback. You will take that feedback, tweak your campaign, tweak your strategies to make it more persuasive if necessary, and then turn it into a grade, turn it in for a grade on the 26th, okay? So I'll repeat what I said. You're working on it from as early as tonight. Once we've looked at some examples, I will give you time to plan with your partner. You will first present the idea next class, get feedback on it, and then present something final for grading on the 26th of February. Okay? Now, what is this persuasive marketing, persuasive communication assignment that you are going to do? First, we need to think about what persuasion is and how that translates in business communication. So I'm going to stop this share. And you're going to be listening to me talk for a while, right? Please take notes as we go along. I know that I have not marked your summary. I will do that tomorrow. I had to travel over the weekend, and when that happens, my week just doesn't go as planned. I am now trying to catch up on all that I didn't do on the weekend. So bear with me. You'll get that in your email inbox tomorrow morning, sometime before 12. That's the plan. Okay? All right. I see that we have more students joining us. Excellent. We now have 7 students. So the numbers are catching up, climbing. There we go. My computer screen is playing tricks. Okay, so tonight, as I said, we're going to focus on the art of persuasion, and it is an art. It is not something that is very easy to do, because as human beings, our tendency is to avoid, especially as adults, to resist being controlled or dictated to or persuaded. We tend to see it as a kind of manipulation, which we, as I said, as adults, we want to resist. But communication, and especially with the intent to persuade or to convince someone, involves certain key strategies, whether it's oral or written, or whether it's in advertising and marketing. When we mean persuasive communication, that is different from argumentative communication. When we write an argument or we consider an argument, we tend to use these terms interchangeably, but there is a difference. Persuasion involves some degree of emotional appeal, and we'll talk about how that emotional appeal works to convince us. Argumentative is more logical, not so much emotional. Persuasion involves getting a reader to change his or her mind. We want someone to take action. And whether it is advertising or marketing, we want someone to buy a product, whether there is a monetary component or not. You want to kind of look at all writing as persuasive to some extent. You are persuading your audience to see you in a particular way, as someone competent, professional, intelligent. Whether that is your foremost goal or not, inherent in the Communication Act is this exchange. Your audience sees you a particular way, you want to be seen by your audience a particular way. So all writing, all effective writing has a persuasive element to it. We want to think of our document as representing us. I'm sure we've read something and thought, this person isn't really good at English, or this person isn't really competent, or this company doesn't ever get it right, or they don't know what they're trying to say, and we make judgments about their level of professionalism and competence. So there's certain things we need to keep in mind, and these are the things I want you to take note of. Now, the notes that I'm going to go over with you are not necessarily in your course text. This is supplementary material, right, that I'm sharing. A lot of business communication courses do get into marketing and advertising, but your text doesn't quite cover this, not in the form that we're going to do it today. So I've said this before, you think about your audience. What do they need from you? In thinking about your audience, you're thinking about age, you're thinking about gender, you're thinking about race, you're thinking about the role that they play in this organization. If it's a piece of written communication, think about the person on the receiving end. And as you think about them, be aware that, especially today in this technology-driven age, we have a certain hostility to reading. Most adults today are what we call illiterate, not illiterate, I-L-L, illiterate, A-L-I-T-E-R-A-T-E, which means we can read, but we choose not to. We have a particular resistance, especially if something is long, right, and drawn up. And so you are working against or trying to overcome that hurdle as well. And your goal is to get readers to buy in. In the case of advertising and marketing, buy in a literal sense, as in buy this product, but in written and oral communication, buy in the sense of believing what you say, believing that you are competent, believing that they can trust you. That is the kind of buy-in that you want to achieve. In addition to audience, again, you have to think about your purpose. What particular action or what thing do you want your audience to do after hearing this communication from you? You must know very clearly why you're writing, and readers must know why they're reading. Or if it's the case of oral communication, they need to know why they're listening to you. And if you drone on, people are going to start to ask questions. Why did I even come to this lecture? What is this about? Why am I even here? They feel out of place, right? So in order to persuade, you have to have, and this goes for communication across the board, a clear purpose in mind and a clear picture of your audience that you expect to benefit from this Communication Act, or that you expect to benefit from this product in the case of the products that you will sell, right? There are certain strategies we use, whether it's written or oral communication, to draw our audience members in, to get that buy-in that is so important. I want you to make note of what I will say. I don't know if you studied this at high school, but these are terms that are central to speech classes and communication classes. They don't sound like English words because they're not English words. They're actually Latin words. But we will translate and talk about what they mean. And the first thing I want you to make note of is appeal to ethos. So write that down, appeal to ethos, E-T-H-O-S. And that word should kind of sound familiar to you. It is from that word that we get English words like ethical, ethics, right? This is a rhetorical strategy that relates to the credibility of the speaker. Appeal to ethos relates to the credibility of the speaker. So we, whether we're conscious of it or not, when someone is talking to us, we are judging their expertise and competence in relation to the subject, right? The things that the writer will do to make him or herself seem more competent. They will back up the claims that they made, right? Provide evidence and research to support them. They will study the content of their speech very carefully to make sure that they know it well, so that they're not stumbling through it. They're not caught up on words and they don't seem unfamiliar with this content, because if they seem not to know the content of their speech, you are going to think they don't know what they're talking about. That extends, right, to our view of the person and their level of intelligence. So the first thing writers do is they appeal to ethos by making themselves seem more competent and trustworthy. Trustworthiness, as we know, refers to the extent to which our audience feels like they can believe what we say. We are unbiased and fair in our approach. We're presenting a balanced view of the information. It also appeals to ethos also involve a degree of enthusiasm. So you want a dynamic speaker, right? Someone who is going to want to make you pay attention, someone charismatic. If they don't have these qualities, then your mind is going to wander and you're going to think that the delivery is flat and unengaging, and by extension, you will be disengaged, right? So I'll review. Appeals to ethos, E-T-H-O-S, one of the first rhetorical strategies, ancient rhetorical strategies. We're talking about from Latin, this word has been used in argument and forming syllogisms. When we judge a speaker's competence and reliability and credibility and their trustworthiness and the level of enthusiasm, we are essentially judging how effectively they appeal to ethos, right? Another ancient rhetorical strategy is logos, L-O-G-O-S. Appeals to logos. And again, from this Latin word, we get English words like logical or logic. So when a speaker appeals to, or writer appeals to logos, they are using sound, factual evidence, statistics, reports. They are backing up their claims. They're not just speaking off the cuff, the way I am, right? I'm trusting you to believe that as a teacher of 20-something years, I know what I'm saying, right? I share resources with you from time to time. Your course text also has information citing sources and other resources. These are different kinds of appeals to logos, right? Different from appeals to logos or use of hard facts and evidence are emotional appeals, or appeals to pathos, P-A-T-H-O-S, which from that word we get English words like sympathy, empathy, sympathetic. Appeals to pathos are emotional appeals. A good speaker knows that if they can get you to buy in through an emotional connection to the subject, then they have your support. The problem with emotional appeals, though, is they can overtake your argument or overtake your speech to the point that you may scare your audience. I'll give you an example. Let's switch gears. Let's say you are in an English class and you're writing an essay about, let's say you're writing an essay about the need for a sex offenders registry in the Bahamas, all right? This is a touchy topic. We immediately associate negative things with sex offenders. And you are in favor of the sex offenders registry. You are going to appeal to your audience's emotions with this emotional topic. Let's say you decide to start your essay with an example of a case in the Bahamas that involves a child being exploited, right? You use that case of the child being exploited to connect to your audience members. They are thinking, if they are parents of their children at home whom they want to protect, their relatives they want to protect, they feel sympathy for the child whose case you're providing details of, you have effectively appealed to your audience. Even if this is in the introduction of your essay, because you've given this story of one exploited child, your audience is going to respond emotionally to that. And before they even get into the appeals to logos and the rest of your argument, the statistical evidence of how effective these sex offenders registries are, and the statistical evidence showing how many cases of assault and abuse we have in our society that really proves the need to do something about this problem, they are convinced from your introduction, from the story of exploitation alone, because what you've done is you've tapped into their emotions on an emotional subject, right? If you never get into logical evidence after this introduction, if you give one story of an exploited child after another, after another, after another, it becomes one big scare tactic. And it has the opposite effect. You have appealed to your audience's emotions too much, and you've not presented a balanced argument. So appeals to emotions or pathos can be very, very, very effective. But a successful speaker knows that he or she needs a combination of these appeals: ethos, logos, and pathos, to persuade the audience, either in writing or in speaking. You will not present something that is unbalanced and achieve the result that you're looking for. Your audience is going to see through that. They're intelligent, they're thinking, they are going to see your argument is overblown and too emotional. If all you have are emotional examples, they're going to see your argument is boring and unengaging if all you have is statistics. They will see you as arrogant and pompous if all you do is appeal to ethos and make yourself seem credible and make yourself seem intelligent. So the key is balance, because you may risk striking the or risk achieving the opposite effect, which is putting off your audience. Instead of gaining their support and persuading them, you may actually create a distance between you and your audience that you don't want, right? So those three strategies, I hope you wrote them down. We're going to look at how these work in public speaking in a minute, but appeals to ethos, logos, and pathos. Write those down. Another persuasive strategy that speakers and writers use often are what we call positive motivations or negative motivations. And as the name implies, they're pretty simple, right? And easy to understand. Positive motivation involves them presenting their argument as though following it will lead to some reward for you, right? And negative motivation, on the other hand, involves presenting the argument in such a way that your audience is made to feel, if you do not take my advice, buy my product, take this course of action, it's going to lead to negative consequences, right? So people are motivated through the promise of rewards right? And they also want to avoid negative consequences. And the two are very powerful motivators when we want to persuade people, right? The promise of rewards or the promise of avoiding something negative, some negative outcome or need, negative outcome or consequence, sorry. Appeals to needs and values and shared beliefs, we're going to come to. How many of you have heard of Maslow? Who are the psychology students in here? And you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Anyone who's ever had a meeting with someone in HR or who works in HR, you understand how Maslow's hierarchy of needs works to motivate employees and to keep them loyal, right? I'm going to show you. Let me share my screen, which shows you the pyramid. Maslow's hierarchy. My mouse is not responsive. Maslow's hierarchy as represented in the form of a pyramid. And we tend to think of it as a pyramid, but really these needs, you can see, is this big enough? Let me see if I can make it any bigger. We tend to think of it as a pyramid. You meet basic needs and then this frees you up to then meet higher order needs. But really, we don't need food, warmth, and water once in our life. And we move on to security, safety, and then we move on. We really move back and forth down the pyramid, right? Up and down the pyramid. These needs continue. But the way Maslow's hierarchy of needs works is that, and advertisers use these quite often to sell products. Sorry, let me move this. It argues, or Abraham Maslow was the first to theorize that human beings have certain needs. We all share common values, needs, and desires. And because of that, if an advertiser or someone who's trying to persuade you can help you to see how their product meets one of these needs, then you will likely be persuaded, right? So we all have basic needs for food, water, warmth, and we move from these basic needs to psychological needs. We need to feel accomplished. We need to feel affirmed. We need to feel a part of a group, right? Which relates to security and safety. And then we have esteem needs, right? Straight up the pyramid to self-actualization. Sorry, I have a touchscreen computer. Self-actualization needs, self-fulfillment. So employees who do not feel fulfilled on their jobs don't stay, all right? And you see management being aware of this and giving employees rewards, right? For exemplary service on the job. You have employee of the quarter, employee of the month, and you get certain perks and privileges. This is all a part of keeping motivated. Right? Remember, we're thinking about motivation strategies. How do we persuade someone to do what we need to do? One of the most effective ways is through appealing to these basic needs. And the idea is no matter where we are across the globe, no matter what race, what nationality, we have these needs in common. And because we will try to meet them in particular ways or in certain ways, if we can help our audience to see that whatever we are advocating meets their needs, we have their support and their loyalty, right? Because these needs do not change. Okay? All right. So I'm at some point going to send this pyramid to you, but I want you to think about these key human needs. And as we look at various ads and study the strategies used by marketers to show how products will meet basic human needs, to how products will make human beings feel secure, protected, we will see exactly how persuasion works, right? In a way that can be monetized and can also get people to take a particular action, right? Okay, good. So I have put together a series of videos that we're going to look at. Some are commercials, because remember I said we're going to look at persuasion and marketing, but also public speaking. So the very first video that we're going to share is a campaign video that I'm sure all of us have seen in the last 2 years more than once. We'll talk about how the speaker uses those rhetorical strategies I talked about. Appeals to ethos, logos, pathos, appeals to emotion. How does he make himself feel credible? How does he make himself seem relatable? How does he draw the audience in? And how can you do something similar, right, in public speaking? And then we'll look at the commercials. So 1 second, let me set up YouTube. Hopefully I have no problem pulling up this video because it is an older one. Actually, this video isn't on YouTube. 1 second. Please excuse me for 1 second. So sorry about that. Tell me what you're looking at. You're looking at an image of Brave Davis, yes? Am I sharing the right screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I chose this particular video not to make a political statement, not at all, but it was in circulation so much during the PLP's campaign. And it is one of the more effective strategies I've seen because of the kinds of rhetorical appeals he uses, from the imagery, from the colors chosen, to the use of music. This is very effective. So we're going to look at what he does and how he basically achieves buy-in from the audience. We're going to need to watch this at least twice to get a sense of what he's doing, right?
There is a lot of pain in the Bahamas.
Sorry, let me turn it on.
There is a lot of pain.
Is that too loud?
It's fine.
Okay.
In the Bahamas right now. Too many people are feeling forgotten and feeling ignored. Even before Dorian, before COVID, families were struggling just to keep the lights on or to provide opportunities for their children. I know what that feels like. My grandparents were subsistence farmers on Cat Island who could not read or write. They taught me the power of faith and love. My mother was a maid, my father a gardener, then a fireman, and later a taxi driver. They taught me to believe in myself and to believe in my country. I worked my way through school as a packing boy and on construction sites. I know what it's like to be underestimated because of the color of your skin or the place you come from. When I was knocking on doors, trying to find someone to teach me the law, I needed somebody to believe in me. We all need that. That's why I've always tried to help as many people as I can. As a lawyer, I've always made time to represent people who couldn't afford to pay me, because the value of our lives should be measured by the impact we have on others. I understand why many Bahamians are cynical about politics. It feels like our biggest problems never get solved. But politics shouldn't be about pretty words or campaigns that happen once every 5 years. For me, it's about showing up for people and fighting for change every day in between. When I see a child in the road who doesn't always have enough to eat or a safe place to play, I know what he's thinking. I know what his parents are dreaming about for him, and I know the barriers that stand in his way. Let's knock down those barriers. It's time to take power away from the usual insiders and give it to that child and his family. I've walked in his shoes, and I don't underestimate who he could be if we give him a chance. I've spent my life taking on hard fights, standing up for what I believe is right. This current crisis is an opportunity to reset our national priorities. And the PLP is ready with new energy and new ideas. We're on your side, ready to lift people up, so tomorrow can be a new day in the Bahamas. Join us. Let's change this country together.
Okay. So that seems like any other political message we might have heard, right? Except whoever put it together is pretty brilliant. What is the goal of this communication first? Remember we said how important purpose was, or is, in any communication act. So what is it that the audience is supposed to do after watching this video?
Vote PLP.
So you're supposed to vote PLP, all right? This is, of course, before the last election. This is in circulation. The speaker also wants us to see him in a particular way. How does he come across? What objective is he trying to, yes, vote PLP, but how does he want people to see him?
He wants people to see him as equal, like he's no better than them, like he's an individual and he understands hard times.
Yes, that is it. So he's not a wealthy lawyer in this ad. He is not even a political candidate per se, although we know. He emphasizes this kind of everyman quality. I am just like you. I know struggle. I know adversity. Now, he tells us a lot of information about his family. He doesn't focus on his wife and children. He goes back to his history. And he says his father was a taxi driver. His mother was a maid. He's speaking to and singling out a particular audience. And in Bahamian society, we tend to think of that audience as more PLP than F&M. He's talking to people in particular socioeconomic groups, right? In this country, the people that we think generally vote PLP anyway, right? Whether we agree or believe it or not, the F&M is seen as the more elitist government, and the PLP is called, what is the name? This is the party for the people. What do they say about the PLP? It's the People's Party or the People's Government, right? They pride themselves on having that attachment to care for and concern for Bahamian people, right? Whether we believe that's true is a different class. But he wants to emphasize that, because if this party's reputation is to protect the needs, the values, the desires, the dreams, the goals of the average Bahamian, he cannot speak as a wealthy attorney with a home in Westridge. That's not the life lived by the average Bahamian, right? And because he wants people to see beyond that, he goes back into history to tell us where he came from. That is an example of an appeal to ethos. He wants to establish common ground. He wants us to be able to relate to him, relate to his past, even if we cannot relate to his present. And the message is, I did this through hard work, all right? And I needed people to believe in me the way we believe in you. You can do the same thing, all right? When I play it the second time, I want you to be more in tune to those kinds of strategies, and then think about the images that you see on the screen, right? What makes this video effective.
There is a lot of pain in the Bahamas right now. Too many people are feeling forgotten and feeling ignored. Even before Dorian, before COVID, families were struggling just to keep the lights on or to provide opportunities for their children.
Okay, what do you make of the expressions on these people's faces? From the beginning of this video, the empty swing, the black screen, and now the expressions on these people's faces, they've been creating a particular mood. What do you see?
Sad.
So they look kind of despairing, right?
Yeah.
And sad.
And then the black and white. And the black and white make it look like it was happening from a while back when they used the
So-
black and white image.
This becomes particularly effective because it changes the color at a particular point, right? But look at the gloom on their faces. You're going to see these people later. Watch when the music reaches a crescendo. Watch when the expressions change.
I know what that feels like. My grandparents were subsistence farmers on Cat Island who could not read or write. They taught me the power of faith and love. My mother was a maid, my father a gardener, then a fireman, and later a taxi driver. They taught me to believe in myself and to believe in my country. I worked my way through school as a packing boy and on construction sites. I know what it's like to be underestimated because of the color of your skin or the place you come from. When I was knocking on doors, trying to find someone to teach me the law, I needed somebody to believe in me. We all need that. That's why I've always tried to help as many people as I can. As a lawyer, I've always made time to represent people who couldn't afford to pay me, because the value of our lives should be measured by the impact we have on others. I understand why many Bahamians are cynical about politics. It feels like our biggest problems never get solved. But politics shouldn't be about pretty words or campaigns that happen once every 5 years. For me, it's about showing up for people and fighting for change every day in between.
Before we look at when the expressions on people's faces change, do you see anything important in the color scheme? The color that he's wearing, right? The nationalist images in the back. Let me try to control this. Hair against this backdrop. Why is color important? You see? What is this blue
5 years. For me,
and this yellow? What do these colors represent on this black skin?
Bahamian flag?
This is the color of the flag, right? These are the colors of the flag. So whether we realize it or not, we're being fed certain nationalist images. Even this flag pin that he's wearing, right? This is all very carefully crafted. The flag blowing in the background. These images are well chosen. Also look at how he portrays himself as a person who does for people. I've made time to represent people who couldn't afford me. You see him embracing this older woman. We are being shown a vulnerable sector of our society, whether it is the economically vulnerable or vulnerable because of age and health or socially vulnerable. He is representing himself as the person to respond to people in these vulnerable situations.
it's about showing up for people and fighting for
You
change.
see that Bahamian, the archipelago, these islands, on again, this gold and aqua shirt.
Every day in between. When I see a child in the road who doesn't always have enough to eat or a safe place to play, I know what he's thinking. I know what his parents are dreaming about for him. And I know the barriers that stand in his way. Let's knock down those barriers. It's time to take power away from the usual insiders and give it to that child and his family. I've walked in his shoes, and I don't underestimate who he could be if we give him a chance.
Do you see how the little boy's face becomes his face, and he represents the struggling child? And now
I've spent my life taking on hard fights, standing up for what I believe is right. This current crisis is an opportunity to reset our national priorities. And the PLP is ready with new energy and new ideas. We're on your side, ready to lift people up, so tomorrow can be a new day in the Bahamas. Join us. Let's change this country together.
And then it pans out to get a view of the entire Bahamas. So why is this brilliant? One, we look at how the music lifts, right? As he's using it to create mood, the expressions on people's faces change, the embedding of the nationalist images. We take in all of these things, and we don't necessarily do it consciously. We get messages through advertising. We get messages from videos like this. We get messages from speakers, and we focus on the words in a lot of cases, and his words again are impactful, but we're being fed messages on so many levels that we may miss, right? So this is one example of something that is effectively done. We're gonna look at how this can be monetized, right? So he has a particular purpose, and it was to get people to vote for him. But advertisers do it too, right? We know what needs he's suggesting the PLP can meet. We talked about how people are motivated when they see that some need can be met by supporting you. So supporting the PLP, jobs, financial security, opportunities for their children. These are the needs that we are being told that this party can meet. And he has garnered a lot of support, and the party's garnered a lot of support because of it. So when we hear trigger words at the beginning, like COVID and Dorian, Bahamians think about how they felt restricted, how they suffered during those times, what an unpleasant and scary experience Dorian and COVID, right? Okay, good. So that is one example of one form of persuasion in speech. We're gonna look at another, a series of commercials, different examples. As we watch these commercials, I want you to think about the story that is being told, because there is a story embedded in each of them. I want you to think about who is the audience for this piece of advertising, right? How are the audience's needs being met by this product, or how is it suggested that the product can meet the audience's needs? What needs can it meet? And then how do you think the audience might respond? i.e., do you think this example of persuasive marketing is effective or not? Okay. All right. So I'm going to share several links with you. Okay, yes. So the first one we're going to look at is the Procter & Gamble commercial. Do you know what Procter & Gamble is?
No, ma'am.
It is a large, I don't even know what their yearly sales are, but billions of dollars. It is a US company that makes household products. So detergent, 10 to 1, if you were to look around your house, you probably have 20 to 30 household products made by Procter & Gamble, all right? Everything that you use for cleaning, your body, cleaning your house was probably made by Procter & Gamble. So this first commercial is a thank you mom commercial made by Procter & Gamble. So again, think about the story that's being told, the product that's being sold. This one is kind of difficult because you think, I don't really see a product. You have to look carefully. And what is the audience being motivated to do and how?
P&G, proud sponsor of moms.
Okay. So what is the story being told in this ad? Did you pick up on it?
The story is basically like moms supporting their kids, telling them to don't give up. Like
And
even when you feel like everything isn't going right.
And that support led them to what?
Success, I guess.
To the Olympics, right? So as they're competing in the Olympics, and we see that as the pinnacle in the sport world, right? They reflect on the times they wanted to give up and were encouraged by their mother, or they had to face obstacles before and were helped by their mothers, right? And so the story is, I think the slogan at the end says, strong women create strong people or something like, but it is an overtly emotional appeal. And it seems to have nothing to do with Procter & Gamble at all, but why a thank you to mom from a company that sells household products? Why would this be a good way to market whatever product you're selling related to house? It's very emotional, absolutely. But why market it to mothers? And that's exactly what they're doing by thanking mothers and showing them how important they are and showing how much they do. They are talking directly to mothers and encouraging them to buy their products. Why wouldn't mothers need household products?
They're usually the primary consumers.
They're the ones that go to the grocery store. They're the ones doing the laundry. Procter & Gamble makes laundry detergent. They're the ones buying the soap. They're the ones cooking for the children. Procter & Gamble makes food products. These are the people taking care of the house. So the thank you to mom is basically kissing up a whole lot. Look at all mothers do, and we thank you. Not only for buying our products, but for taking care of your families and so effectively, right? By using our products. Okay, they know who their market is. And so they speak directly to their market through marketing, right? To mothers. Okay, good. Yes, Ellen, you can talk with me after class. I just saw that. Okay, so we're gonna look at another. My escape isn't working. Okay, let me stop the share. Okay. Now, remember we talked about how effective emotional appeals can be? The next commercial, like the first one we looked at, shows why they work. And again, we think about who the audience is. Sorry. Sorry, my mouse is not very responsive at all. Let me try taking it out and putting it back in. It is all over the place. So this is a quick smoking commercial.
If this is how your child feels after losing you for a minute, just imagine if they lost you for life.
Okay, so that is effective through an emotional appeal. Again, who do you think they're talking to? Who's the audience for this example of persuasion? Who are they talking to? Sorry?
Smokers.
Smokers. Is it just any group of smokers? Yeah, they want people to quit smoking, but they're talking particularly to a group of smokers. Smokers who have children, right? We have the image of the lost boy, and the commercial says, if your child cries like this or feels like this after losing you for a few minutes, imagine what happens if they lose you for a lifetime. We're talking to parents, right? Who may need additional help quitting smoking. This is an example of what I was telling you about. Remember positive motivation and negative motivation? So this is an example of negative motivation. If you don't stop smoking, then this is what will happen. And people who want to avoid the consequence, which is your child growing up alone, or your child feeling this kind of sorrow, then they will take the desired action, which is to stop. Right? It is an emotional appeal, but it's a key example of how negative motivation works just as effectively as positive motivation. Right? If we could even put a spin on it. We could even say this is positive motivation to an extent too, because we see children we get to see our children grow up. We get to see them being happy and fulfilled, right? A desire for that motivates people to stop, parents to stop smoking. Good. So let me stop this. I'm going to share another one, and then you and your partner, well, several more. You and your partner will have to devise something similar to share with us. Not this elaborate. I'm not expecting a commercial, not at all, but I'll give you details of what you should do. Okay, now this one has some language in it, but we're all adults, sorry. I want you to again think about the story, think about the appeal, and what the audience is being prompted to do through this narrative. What need is being met, and how effective is this ad? It's quite long for a commercial, but the story is compelling.
This is a story about Coleman Sweeney. Coleman, in short, was an asshole. Everyone in his small town knew it. It wasn't that he tried particularly hard to be unpleasant. It just seemed to come naturally to him. Coleman felt like the whole world owed him something, which caused him to regularly ignore the rules of a decent, acceptable society. And he hated anything that got in his way.
Go, you got it! You got it, go! Go, go, you can do it!
And small animals. Even to children, he was an asshole. He was, as they say, born to it. But then, the strangest thing happened.
$3.
Something entirely unexpected. Coleman Sweeney died. A brain aneurysm. Well, subarachnoid hemorrhage to be more specific. And it came as he argued over whether extra fries should be included in a $1.99 early bird breakfast, which was a typical Coleman Sweeney play. It was then that Sarah found something completely unexpected. Coleman Sweeney had registered to be an organ donor. Nobody knew what caused Coleman to do it, but there it was, generous and majestic. And that was the day that Coleman went from asshole to hero. You see, his liver went to Stan, a father of two. His heart went to Miranda Morgan,
Who here has been to this?
who went on to teach for 25 more years. And his tendons went to Staff Sergeant Donahue, who was able to walk again and would never need to be pushed across the street by his physical therapist. And in a moment of small world irony, his corneas went to his 82-year-old next-door neighbor so that she could finally see the crap that her dog made in the side yard and pick it up. Yes, in life, Coleman was a bona fide asshole. 365 days a year, 24/7.
Hey, baby!
But in death, well, let's just raise our middle fingers and shout, "Up yours, Coleman Sweeney. You're not an asshole anymore."
Okay, so a kind of unorthodox, very unorthodox commercial, but that's a part of its appeal, right? So what is the story? What is the narrative? What is being advanced? What are people being motivated to do?
Anyone could be a donor.
Be a donor, save a life, right? The idea is, even if you've totally wasted your life, done nothing meaningful, and been as mean and as dislikable as you can be while you're alive, you can still help someone after death, right? And that is what makes this a compelling story, because it is so unconventional, right? And the language, of course, is shocking. The imagery is shocking, and it's meant to be. And so they present someone who is the most disreputable human being, right, according to the commercial, and then shows that even that person has the potential to do something good, if not in life, then in death, right? And so what need, of course, is met? The need for health, right? The need for security, the need to feel as though we can enjoy long, healthy lives. Okay, so I'm going to share another one with you. We're looking at a lot of examples, different angles, as that are particularly emotional or effective in preparation for the product that you will come up with.
Come on, Maddie.
When was this building built?
It's old, but it has big windows and lots of light. I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? Are you breaking up with me?
Slow and steady.
Trance, the official sudden Vanticles. This is Maddie.
Okay, so this is a Chevy commercial. What things do we associate with Chevy? Chevy prides itself on appealing to a particular audience. Who's its audience? Who's its market? It has the same kind of company slogan, mandate as Ford. What else? I can only think of those two. The other companies shut down. But what does Chevy pride itself on? Have you heard its slogan? Isn't it all American or something like that? It prides itself on being a good old down home American-made vehicle, right? In the case of this Jeep, but it is an American company when so many cars are being made abroad and so many products are being imported. And we see the image of a girl who has had a dog for many years, and the slogan is "A friend for life's journey." And so it equates people's love, that American, particular American audience's love for animals, with the loyalty that we associate with dogs, right? The reliability, all of these things, right? And the slogan is, it's a friend for life's journey, both the dog and the car. So we're conflating two images. You have, or two things, you have the love of the animal, right? The loyalty of the animal, the reliability of the animal, the consistency of the animal through these stages of life and life experiences with this car, right? So you think certain things about, or you expect certain things about the Chevy vehicle. Longevity, it's going to work long, it's going to be reliable, it's going to be there as you move through various important moments in your life, right? So again, the emotional appeal, but it's also meeting a need, right? Sorry, let me stop this share altogether. And then, because consumers are becoming more and more conscious of how they're being manipulated by ads and how they're being manipulated through crafty persuasion techniques to take action, we have modern campaigns that are giving more and more attention to their social responsibility, right? And so there is a humanitarian aspect or a social component to these products. They want to seem engaged and committed to change in some way. And people are more and more in the age of Black Lives Matter and Me Too and global warming. People are more and more aware of our social responsibility and the need for us as consumers to do things differently. And so you see companies trying to sell products by tapping into these new social movements as well and suggesting that they support it. This is why you see someone maybe accused of something, not necessarily guilty, but just the accusation is enough to get a celebrity endorsement dropped, right? A company will break ties with someone very fast, very quickly, because they don't want to lose the support of their consumers, right? Who are tied to these social issues. Okay, so we have two more, and then I'm going to give you some details about what you should be doing. So we have more socially conscious ads.
Is this the
Can you hear this one? I can't remember if I clicked share sound. Can you hear this one? Can you hear it? Can you hear that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is this the land history promised? Here, within these lines, on this concrete court, this patch of turf, here, you're defined by your actions, not your looks or beliefs. Equality should have no boundaries. The bonds we find here should run past these lines.
It's been a long time coming.
Opportunity should not discriminate. The ball should bounce the same for everyone.
Change gonna come.
Worth should outshine color.
Oh, yes, it will.
If we can be equals here,
We can be equals everywhere.
Change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Okay. So we all know what the Black Lives Matter movement is, yes?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
So that became a global movement within the last few years. Countries around the world gave support to Blacks in America who are protesting the killing, basically, of Black men by members of law enforcement, largely without penalty. They're just killing them and nothing seems to be happening. And so this is a commercial that basically taps into that movement. And we see prominent Black athletes. You see Michael B. Jordan. The message of this commercial is one of equality. How does sports get involved though? You see LeBron, you see other athletes. Who's that? What's his name? The basketball, Kevin Durant. Is that Kevin Durant? I think I saw. But how are sports involved in this whole equality thing? What is the message of this commercial? It's about equality. And it makes it a very important statement. What matters on a basketball court or what matters on a track? Does race come into it?
Teamwork.
Say it again?
Teamwork.
Teamwork. right? How you are able to create a kind of synergy. So you have all different races coming together. Color of skin doesn't matter, right? You have athletes being balanced and fair and equal. And interestingly enough, in sports, Blacks tend to excel, right? And they are respected for it. They are highly regarded for it. And I think it's LeBron that says, if we can be equals here, we can be equals anywhere. So if you can value our talent as fast runners or good ball players, and you can see how we benefit society and bring entertainment here, you see our value here, then, and give us equality on the playing field, then we should be equal anywhere, right? And so you have a company like Nike that has made billions of dollars, gazillions of dollars off Black athletes endorsing and showing support for Black Lives Matter. Why? Because they've made so much money off of it that even if this is not how they really feel, they want to continue making that money, right? And so they come out and support. They also know that 90% of their market, maybe 90 is a high number, but most of their market is going to be young Blacks who want to look like this athlete, who wants to wear this particular brand of sneakers. So it pays them to come out and support, literally, to come out and support the Black Lives Matter movement, right? With this message of equality. And it is in black and white. Black and white creates a certain mood. Why not color? Why black and white when you're talking about something like equality among the races, or you're sending signals, messages about how Blacks are being killed almost every day or harassed by law enforcement? Why put it in black and white and not color?
To show that we all are the same. Color
So
doesn't
we
matter.
erase color, yes. And it brings a certain degree of seriousness too, right? It creates a kind of somber mood that we don't get if we were to put it in bright colors, right? Colors create a kind of happy, jubilant. This is not a happy, jubilant issue. Now, it's a serious issue, and the black and white underscores that seriousness. All right, so the last one. Another socially conscious art. This is a furniture commercial, IKEA.
What if we could create a better everyday life for the many people? For the couples that turn into families, the children, the lovers, for the old ladies, the single ladies, the single mothers, and for those who need to start all over. What if we always side with the many by designing the price tag before anything else? What if furniture could be better for nature, better for people? What if we could make furniture out of waste? What if old glass could get new life? What if we could collect all these bottles and turn them into something else? Like this chair. What if we could plant more trees than we use? And what if we could use wood in new ways so that this tree and all of these trees could grow to be just trees? What if we turn the tables on food and make meatballs without meat? What if we turn the tables on tables and make screws that aren't screws? In fact, what if we lose the screws completely so we can put things up, take them down, and put them up again? What if we try to design new behaviors instead of new products? Better play instead of toys, and better sleep instead of beds.
For $5 and the correct answer is...
What if water taps could save water? And light bulbs could save light? What if all our stores could power themselves? And what if the best packaging is no packaging? What if we could make furniture out of air? What if we tried twice and failed twice? And what if we try again? What if we celebrate our differences? Because without each and every person, we wouldn't be complete. What if we never settled for an answer? What if we always ask ourselves, what if?
Okay, so IKEA is sending several messages with this commercial, right? It's a furniture company. So it wants its audience members to see it as what kind of furniture company. And it really is this. If you've ever been into any IKEA, what kind of furniture company is it, according to this commercial? What is it known for? Anybody visited IKEA? Only me? Can't stay out of IKEA.
Yeah.
Say it again?
Furniture, home decor.
It's known for furniture and home decor, but what kind? It's really unusual, think outside the box stuff, right? And so it presents itself as an innovative company, right? That is trying new things, but its aim is not just to keep cutting down trees and making furniture. What does this commercial also highlight about IKEA? It's concerned about what? They say, what if we
The
make
environment.
the environment? So in an age of global warming, where we have climate change, and especially in countries like ours, small island development states that are getting the brunt of the effects of global warming, companies that embrace their responsibility to the environment will also get more support, right? So it's not just we're an innovative company, but we are also concerned about the environment. And so there's that socially conscious aspect of it as well. Good. So I wanted to show you those ads in preparation for what I'm going to ask you to do. Sorry. And I want to reiterate, I don't expect you to do anything nearly as elaborate as what we just looked at. But I do want you and your partner to think about a product that meets some human need. I want you to conceptualize this product. It could be some kind of transportation that runs on clean fuel. It could be some household product, but a product that meets a particular need. It could be a food item, and you and your partner have to find a way to market the product to us. This is going to involve some imaging from you. I don't expect you to be artists, but we need some representation of the product, a good slogan, and an explanation of how this product can work to meet our needs as consumers. Why should we buy it? So you're coming up with a mini, and I mean mini, marketing campaign. And I want you to be able to basically share ideas. So I'm going to put you into groups of two. I don't want you to work on this alone. So you're going to start this. You're going to start conceptualizing it tonight and thinking about the product. And then you and your partner will have to exchange contacts so that you can continue working on this outside of class. Those of you that came in late, I made an announcement that rather than have you write a letter, a persuasive letter, I wanted you to do something more creative, hence this assignment. And I'm going to give you more time to work on it since you're doing something a little bit outside the box. You will present it and get feedback on it on Wednesday of next week. So we'll spend the first hour or so, or the second hour or so, looking at your products and talking about the merits of it, looking at your campaigns, and then you're going to present something to me for a grade. Based on the feedback that we give you next week, you tweak it, make it even better, and then next week, Sunday, 26th, I want to say that's Sunday. Let me check my calendar. By 11:59 p.m., yes, you're going to email to me. And if you also came in late, I made the announcement that your summaries, I haven't had an opportunity to grade them yet, but I will. Okay? All right. So that is why I showed you all those ad campaigns, because you will have to design a product. Let me look at my participants list and market it to us. Not just design it, but market it to us. So there are 8 of you in this meeting. Perfect. So that means we're going to have 4 groups with 2 students, and you and your partner will share a grade for this assignment. So please, if someone is not pulling their weight, not contributing to this group project, please let me know so that I can speak with the student about their progress and participation, so that one student does not benefit from another student's hard work. All right, let me set up some breakout rooms. You'll have just tonight under an hour or so to get this started. Some of you, I'm giving you this time because I know you have different schedules, and so planning this outside of class may be difficult. I want you to do most of the planning tonight and have to connect minimally outside of class to get it done. So this is your next grade. I'm going to call your name, assign you to a room, and assign you to a partner, okay? And I'm going to be moving back and forth between the rooms to see if students need help. All right, so Danielle, let me move you to room 4. All right, so Danielle and Ellen, you're in room 4. You're working together. Alexis and Ricardo, you're working together in room 1. Dimitri and Leslie, you're working together in room 2. And Crystal and Chanel, you're working together in room 3. So I'll repeat. Alexis, Ricardo, room 1. Dimitri, Leslie, room 2. Crystal and Chanel, room 3. Danielle and Ellen, room 4. And I'm going to send you an assignment sheet so that you know what you're working on, but you're thinking of a product that meets a human need, something unique and interesting. And you're also with your partner thinking about a way to market it to us, to persuade us to use this product, buy this product. Any questions for me before I open the rooms? Remember, I'm going to be moving back and forth. And if you have a question, you can just raise your hand in the room. I get a signal and I will join your room if I'm not already in it. Okay. Before the end of class, I'm going to send you a message so that we rejoin the main meeting. Check your emails, please, for the assignment sheet from me. What's going on? Okay, so we're just waiting on Alexis and Ricardo to join us. And I think we're all back. I just want to clear up one thing. I wondered why students were asking me if they should submit an essay. It's because I gave you a word length for your marketing description. That is just to give you an idea of how detailed your description. I don't want a one-liner from people. And so I want you to elaborate on the usefulness of this product and really try to sell it to people. So that's why I gave you a word length, not necessarily that I'm expecting an essay from you. Okay, I just wanted to clear that up. Now, just a reminder, next week, which is the 22nd, you should have something prepared to share with the class, okay? So your product, your whole marketing spiel should be ready to share. And then on the 26th, what you give to me is something compact. Nice, not too cluttered, the product, your little catchy slogan, and something engaging. Okay? All right, I want to take attendance and I can entertain any final questions. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, please do so now. Okay, all right. So when I call your name, please say present. Today is February 15th. Ricardo?
Present.
Okay, Chanel?
Yeah.
Byron? Danielle Hannah?
Yeah.
Matronique?
Present.
Courtney Knowles? Courtney? Crystal Marsh?
Yeah.
March, is that your last name? March or Marsh? Leslie Roberts?
Here.
Shanique Russell? Is Shanique still here? Ellen Strawn?
Yeah.
And Alexis Toot.
Present.
Okay, all right, awesome. If you need to speak with me, stay behind. If you need like some one-on-one advice, please just stay behind. I know some of you have not been able to turn in the assignments that are due. The first two, they were due last week and week before. Please just make sure you get them to me. 5 points seems like a little, but they add up, right? So you want to give yourself the opportunity to get the highest grade possible. All right, so that is it. I will see you next week, Wednesday. I'm looking forward to hearing about your products. If you have questions in the meantime, email me and we can chat about how to get it, how to make this product as engaging as possible. All right, have a good evening. Unless you have questions for me, you're free to go.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh,
That's
one
it?
second.
I heard two voices. One second, let me stop the recording so that if it is a personal issue you want to talk about, it's not reflected on the recording. 1 second. All right, so that's that.